Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. So glad you're joining us, because today we are diving into something absolutely crucial. We're unpacking the transformational concepts from Harv Eker's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, along with his game-changing 6-jar system. Look, if you've ever felt like you're just grinding away, but your bank account completely ignores your hard work, or you're stuck in that awful cycle of making money just to watch it instantly vanish, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we're tearing down the walls to look at the hidden programming that's actually driving your financial destiny.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Give me 5 minutes and I can predict your financial future. Now that's a seriously bold hook from Eker, right? But he totally backs it up. His premise is fascinating. Your financial destiny, it's basically pre-programmed. He argues that we all have this personal money and success blueprint hardwired right into our subconscious mind. And here's the kicker. It's this blueprint, far more than your business savvy, the economy, or your investment portfolio, that literally dictates whether you're going to struggle or thrive. So, here's our roadmap for the explainer today. We're going to cover 1. How roots create the fruits. 2. Your hidden money blueprint. 3. The millionaire wealth files. And finally, 4. The 6 jars system. Let's get moving.
Section 1. Roots create the fruits. It's all about changing the invisible. Eker uses a pretty brilliant metaphor for this. Imagine a tree, the tree of life, let's call it. The fruits on this tree represent our actual results in life. Naturally, most of us look at our fruits, our income, our savings, and, well, we kind of hate them. We think they're way too small or there just aren't enough of them. So what's our default reaction? We focus even harder on the fruits. But wait, what actually grows those fruits? It's the seeds. It's the roots. It's what's buried deep underground that creates what's above the ground. Simple as that. If you want to change the visible stuff in your life, you absolutely have to change the invisible first.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates exactly what we mean by the invisible. You see, we operate in 4 distinct quadrants of existence: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. But what most people totally overlook is that the physical realm, meaning your actual bank account, your health, your physical reality, is really just a printout of those other 3. Think about it. If you type out a document and there's a glaring typo, you can't just white out the typo on the printed paper, hit print again, and expect it to be magically fixed, right? You have to go into the software and change the underlying program. A lack of money is never actually the root problem. It's just a symptom of what's happening underneath in your mental, emotional, and spiritual quadrants.
Moving on to Section 2, your hidden money blueprint. Time to look at your internal software.
So the absolutely crucial thing here is defining what your money blueprint actually is. Basically, it's the subconscious programming you soaked up from your upbringing and environment. It dictates your knee-jerk, automatic financial responses. Think of it exactly like a thermostat. If the room is sitting at 72 degrees, it's because the thermostat is set there. Simple, right? Well, if your bank account is constantly hovering around a specific number, whether that's $10,000 or $10 million, it's because your financial thermostat is hard-coded for that number. And the real tragedy here is that so many people are unconsciously sabotaging their own wealth just because their thermostat is set for constant struggle.
Which begs the question, how on earth did that thermostat get set in the first place? Well, Eker points to 3 primary conditioning sources from our childhood. First, there's verbal programming, what you actually heard growing up. Second is modeling, what you saw your parents or guardians doing. And third, specific incidents, what you directly experienced around money. Think about that verbal programming for a second. Did you constantly hear stuff like, money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are greedy? Eker actually shares a super relatable story about this. Whenever he asked his dad for a penny as a kid, his dad would explode, yelling, "What am I made of? Money?" When you hear that over and over, your subconscious mind just internalizes the idea that money is completely scarce, stressful, and impossible to get.
Now, all of this childhood conditioning feeds straight into what he calls the process of manifestation. This little formula is basically the engine of your reality. P leads to T, which leads to F, which leads to A, equaling R. Let's break that down. Your programming leads to your thoughts. Your thoughts lead to your feelings. Your feelings lead to your actions. And finally, your actions create your results. Every single financial move you make today is just the downstream result of a thought, which was born from that programming you received decades ago. To change the R, your results, at the very end of this equation, we literally have to go all the way back to the P at the beginning.
So how do we actually go about changing that stubborn programming? Eker outlines 4 super practical steps. First up, awareness. I mean, you can't change what you don't even know exists, right? You have to actively start noticing your automatic thoughts around money. Step 2 is understanding. That's where you recognize where those thoughts actually came from. Like, oh wow, my fear of investing? That's actually my parents' fear, not mine. Third is dissociation. You mentally separate yourself from that old, outdated file and realize you have a choice right now, today. And fourth, reconditioning. I want you to think about this right now. What are your automatic, knee-jerk habits the second you get your paycheck? Do you immediately think about burning it on something, or do you hoard it out of pure anxiety? Honestly, just catching yourself in that habit is the very first step to rewiring the whole shebang.
All right, Section 3, the Millionaire Wealth Files. We're comparing the rich versus poor mindset.
The differences here are just mind-blowing. First off, rich people play the money game to win, while poor people play the money game to not lose. Think about what a massive shift that is. If you are out there playing any sport entirely on defense, what are your actual chances of winning the game? Basically zero. Yet that is exactly how the vast majority of people handle their finances. Their primary obsession is survival and security, not creating real wealth or abundance. And playing strictly defense, it severely caps your financial upside.
Next wealth file. Rich people focus on opportunities. Poor people focus on obstacles. It's night and day. Where a poor mindset sees roadblocks, unbearable risk, and a huge chance for failure, the millionaire mind is completely trained to spot potential, growth, and the ultimate reward. It really is all about perspective. When an economic shift hits, one person sees total impending doom and yanks all their money out of the market out of sheer panic. But the wealthy mind? They're actively scanning the horizon for the incredible buying opportunities that just opened up.
And this completely extends to who we actually choose to surround ourselves with. Rich people intentionally associate with positive, successful people. Poor people tend to associate with negative or unsuccessful people. Why is that? Because energy is contagious, you guys. If you want to fly with the eagles, you literally cannot be swimming with the ducks. Highly successful individuals ruthlessly curate their social circles because they know for a fact that their environment constantly reinforces their internal blueprint.
Let's wrap up these mindset contrasts with a truly fundamental shift. Rich people have their money work hard for them. Poor people work hard for their money. Now look, working hard is obviously important, but hard work alone is never ever going to make you rich. You absolutely have to make the leap from active labor, where you're just trading your time for dollars, over to passive income. That's where your dollars are out there in the marketplace, hustling 24/7 as your own little employees. And honestly, that perfectly tees up our final, highly actionable section.
Let's jump into Section 4, the 6 jars system. Time to master the outer game. I really want you to let this quote sink in for a second. The habit of managing your money is more important than the amount. Seriously, the single biggest excuse people make is, oh, I'll start managing my money when I actually have some. Eker says it's basically like an overweight person saying, I'll start exercising and eating right just as soon as I lose 20 pounds. It's totally backwards. Even if you are buried in debt, even if you are literally borrowing a single dollar, you must start managing every single cent immediately. You have to prove to the universe, and more importantly to your own subconscious, that you can actually handle wealth.
Now, what's really brilliant about this system is how incredibly simple it is. The 6 jars approach systematically separates your income into highly targeted buckets. Check this out. You allocate 50% for necessities, 10% for financial freedom, 10% for long-term savings, 10% for education, and a combined 20% right here for play and give. That's it. No more guesswork. Every single time a dollar hits your account, it immediately gets a job and goes to work for you based on these exact percentages.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of all 6 jars. First, your necessities jar is 50%. This is for rent, food, keeping the lights on. Now, if your bare-bones bills are taking up way more than 50%, you've got to face the music. You either need to ruthlessly simplify your lifestyle or drastically increase your income. Next, the financial freedom jar is 10%. Listen to me, you never, ever spend this. It is strictly for investments that generate passive income. Then you've got long-term savings at 10% for big-ticket items or paying down debt. Education gets 10% because let's face it, your income is only going to grow to the extent that you do. But pay close attention to these last 2 jars, play and give, both sitting at 10%. These are psychologically crucial. If you do nothing but scrimp, save, and sacrifice, your inner spirit is eventually going to snap and completely sabotage your progress. The play jar actually forces you to indulge in guilt-free fun, which rewards your brain for excellent money management. And the give jar? That reminds your deep subconscious that you have more than enough to share, which firmly locks in that true wealth mentality.
And that brings us to the ultimate question we have to ask ourselves. Your financial thermostat is fully set right now, whether you realize it or not. So what's the reading? Is it programmed to strictly save for a rainy day, which, as Eker loves to point out, practically guarantees you're just going to get rain? Or is it deliberately programmed for ultimate financial freedom? I'm challenging you today. Take a really hard look at your inner programming. Start adopting these Millionaire wealth files and actually implement the 6 jars system the very next time a paycheck hits your account. You have the total power to permanently rewire your financial destiny. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I seriously cannot wait to see the incredible fruits your new roots are going to grow.